And we're recording. We are recording. Again, we are back. Episode 3. We made it this far. It's been a long time. It has been a long time. I think 3 weeks is...
It's gone by quite quickly. It doesn't seem like 3 weeks ago we did this the first time.
No, it does not. It's gone very, very, very quickly. Default Tangent, Episode 3. I think that is the name we have stuck on at this point. I think that is it. It feels right. It rolls off the tongue. I think it's got just the right amount of wit. Or not so much wit, but the meme culture, people who tune in, the Default Tangent podcast. I think I kind of get what these guys are going for with that title. I think it resonates with a certain caliber. I hope everyone's enjoyed it so far. I know I have. So it's me, Leon C, and my good pal Chris, who I hope is on this side this week. I've taken a risk doing that. Chris P, and we are going to be talking about the latest in pop culture. And I think we just get rolling because we're naturally going to tangents as we always do. Unless, Chris, would you like to intro yourself?
Yes, okay. So this week, there's been a few big things happening this week. 2 major things, which we're going to cover. Cyberpunk, the release of Cyberpunk and the success or lack thereof of Cyberpunk. And then Disney Investors Day, which brought up a shed load of new stuff. But we're first going to get off on a Mandalorian-ish spoiler from 2 weeks ago, where there was a lightsaber duel between Ahsoka Tano and the Magistrate. And Leon, this is where you step in because you didn't like it, and I want to know why.
So I don't know if it was that fight I actually saw now that I've heard you say
There's only one lightsaber fight, really.
Okay, so I saw a clip. I was doing some research. I wanted to get up to scratch just because I haven't watched any Mandalorian episodes since the last episode. I just dropped off. I fell out of the rhythm. I was in a
You're
rhythm
on 6 at this point. You've done 6 of season 1.
I've done 5. I'm on episode. I think I'm halfway through episode 5. Is it the one where the Mando is helping he's a new bounty hunter and he tried to play himself off as a bit of a pro?
Oh, that one, Christ, okay, yeah, okay.
I'm pretty sure it's halfway through 5.
There's no other lightsabers in the whole Mandalorian that I remember, except obviously the big spoiler at the end of season 1, which I won't go into.
Okay, cool.
Until Ahsoka turns up in that episode. So there's only one. So it's got to be that one. It's got.
So I saw a very brief clip, and I'm very passionate about lightsaber battles, right? There's a specific way, and I think it should still be canon. It should still be in canon. The Darth Bane books. I'm pretty sure the Darth Bane books are still considered canon, and the Darth Bane book will describe the lightsaber fight, and it really is just the Jedi or the Sith are just, slightly different, but the Jedi and the Sith really are just mediums for the Force, and they're channeling it through them, and the lightsaber is just kind of almost symbolic of what's actually happening. And they're not thinking, I'm going to try and take him out. They're not even almost tactic. It's Force battles, but, visualized. So the fight, so when you see some of the fights, especially like your Anakin, your Obi-Wans, a lot of the prequel trilogy, you see that flow. That style is perfectly characteristic of that happening. But when you look at someone like Kylo Ren fighting Finn, it's like that is not happening there. These are just 2 people swinging at each other. And I saw more of that in the Ahsoka clip than I saw of flow. And I was a bit like, oh, have they missed it? Have they? And that's kind of where I lie.
I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's you or what, but there's something clicking. Like, whenever you move, there's 2 things. I don't know if it's a thing on your chest, but there's definitely like a clicking of something.
My other headphones.
Okay.
Apologies on the audio bot.
On the Mandalorian front, the whole lightsaber combat, we could probably have a different discussion about that. I think we've been blessed with lightsaber combat from the prequels, because you look at Vader and Obi-Wan in Hope, and then Empire, Luke and Vader, and then they're not big flashy spectacles. They are your original lightsaber fights. I think the prequels have spoiled us. But what you need to remember the Ahsoka fight is, it's a lightsaber against Beskar steel, so it's not a lightsaber fight. I assume you know what Beskar is.
I am very familiar with Beskar.
It's an armor by the Mandalorians which a lightsaber can't penetrate. Basically.
One of the very few in the galaxy, along with the same stuff they use in the Grievous droids use, those staffs.
I can't remember. There's weird, like, sticky one.
Yeah, they are another one of the rare metals that can hold up to a lightsaber. And there's another one as well. There's probably another two.
It's not a lightsaber fight. Okay. And only one of them has the Force. So I also like a more methodical paced lightsaber fight. It's nice watching all the flashy stuff, but I like a more which is kind of why I like the Jedi Fallen Order combat, because that did feel more slowed down and more deliberate. Like there's a scene in Revenge of the Sith where Anakin and Obi-Wan stopping each other, just flinging their lightsabers around, not even contacting each other. And that just terrible. Like the reason was they know each other so well and they're so in tune with each other's force that they know when they're going to attack, but it still just looked dumb as hell. Just stop swinging a lightsaber.
It did look funny.
It's a lightsaber versus a non-lightsaber. It's a Force user against non-Force user. And the reason I think she could have held her own up, and even because Ahsoka started with two, but she got disarmed by one of them. And I think Ahsoka going up against somebody that she has so little experience against is why it made sense in the canon. So I liked it.
I like your rationale. And as I said just before we start recording, I almost wanted to lose that argument because I'm so like hyped to see a white lightsaber and to see Jedi again on screen that like I have to critique. I have to be critical. I have to be true. I can't just be like Kevin Smith who just, I love the prequels. Oh, now we've got new ones. I think the prequels are trash. I love these new ones. And I bet you he's probably said or will say, I don't like the new ones. Won't be that. So I'll always be true.
We'll get more of this later, but I think there could be no more Star Wars films.
Yeah.
Depending on the success of all these series, but we'll get into that later.
I almost
feel a bit of a spoiler. The episode of Mandalorian that came out yesterday. It's not really a spoiler, but it's a bit of a moment. He's used to have a Beskar steel, so whenever somebody tries to hit him, he blocks it with his arm, and it just bounces off. But he has to wear stormtrooper armor. So he puts stormtrooper armor on. He then gets into a fight, and he does his usual stuff, and the armor just explodes off his hand, and he's like, psh, psh, bang! Because like he's got no defense left. It's like a great old moment. You just see this armor just explode off his hand. I don't
know if I said before, but like watching The Mandalorian in some parts feels like a live-action version of Goblin Hunter, which is an anime. I definitely said it to you, but I don't know if I said it on the podcast.
Oh, you might have said it to me. I don't know Goblin Hunter, so I probably just...
Yeah, but Goblin Hunter is an anime, and it really feels like a live-action version of that, which is a good thing, because Goblin Hunter is awesome. So it's a very similar character. So that's cool. So yeah, I'm happy to bow down to that one because I'm going to watch it anyway. And
there's definitely going to be a lightsaber fight because there's enough lightsabers and reasons for it to happen.
Yeah.
Which I think it might happen next Friday because that's like the last episode of the series.
Oh really? Okay.
Assuming there's the same number of episodes in Series 2 as there is in Series 1, next week should be the last one.
Yeah.
So that's going to be a good week.
Because I've changed my ways now. What I used to do and what I did with The Mandalorian is I let things build up so I could binge them. But now what happens is I've usually got quite a lot of, I say quite a lot, but like anything from 3 and upwards things that I'm either playing or watching. And I feel kind of overwhelmed now when I have lots of episodes in front of me. I think if I watch that now, then I've lost my Sunday or I've lost my Saturday. So what I'm going to stop doing is building stuff up. I'm going to stop doing that now.
I mean, we'll get into this more later as well, but with these new Marvel series coming out, I think from the release dates of the first one and the release dates of the second one, it's January 15th to March 19th, which sounds about 6, 7 or 8 weeks. So I feel like it's literally going to be this series, and this series will finish this week. The very next week, the start of a new of a different series.
Do you think they will intertwine like the Shield and Captain America movies?
Oh yes, there's going to be intertwining series that then intertwine with films.
That's cool. So what? So do you think like
it's still going to be the MCU, but it's going to be the Marvel Cinematic Disney Plus universe?
Yeah, the MC.
It'll still be called the MCU, but there will be. It's not like when they had Daredevil and Luke Cage and Iron Fist on Netflix.
And do you think Star Wars is going to do this too? Like, do you think so? It's, for example, it'd be Mandalorian, then maybe Ahsoka, and I don't know anything about Andor, but then maybe Andor, and then
no, because Andor is way before that.
Okay.
Oh wait, no,
it's not.
Yeah,
is it?
wait, yeah, because Mandalorian is set after Return of the Jedi. And, and Andor is going to be set pre-Rogue One, so before you.
Okay.
Which, just get out there, couldn't give a shit about, but we'll get to that.
Yeah, we will get to that. Because I don't know anything about that apart from the title.
So, I know who he is, that's all I know. So,
okay.
But
it'd be interesting if, like, you can't watch Mandalorian season, you can't go from Mandalorian season 2 to 3. You have to see Mandalorian, then Ahsoka season 1, and then.
No, I don't think they'd be that dumb, because there will be people that will watch it all, but that will then negate a lot of casual audiences. But then again, if people get Disney Plus anyway, what do they care? So yeah, maybe
they might do it. And if we've got the similar minds behind the MCU, they've done that stuff in MCU.
But I've always felt there's very few films in the MCU which, to understand, you have to watch other films.
No, but
Endgame and Infinity War, you can literally just drop into Avengers. You don't need to know the backstories of Iron Man and Cap. You can just watch it as a standalone film.
However, and I haven't seen it, but with the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., I do know that there is a season that takes place pre-Winter Soldier, and then there's a season that takes place after. And that if you were to jump to one season without having watched Winter Soldier, it's a bit like, what the fuck just happened?
It is, but then again, it's one of them things like, what in the Venn diagram of MCU fans, how small is it that watch Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and don't watch, that's got a small Venn diagram.
Yeah.
So I know Kevin Feige's now got some input in Star Wars, and admittedly, the people behind Star Wars haven't exactly been great over the past 10 years. But all you got to do is have a glance at the MCU to see how well they've done and their very basic formula for success. So you'd be stupid to mess it up. But, people have messed up things, so who knows?
I agree.
Anyway, time to move on to the second and slightly more interesting part of this, which I don't know much about.
I don't know if it's that much more interesting, but I think what's the Cyberpunk, yeah?
Yes, definitely. That's not the big interesting bit for me.
No, well, I was going to say I think that lightsaber fights and how the Disney and MCDU are going to continue to chop and change their shows is much more interesting than Cyberpunk.
Okay, maybe we should have done Cyberpunk first. Oh well, that's.
I kind of thought we should have gone Cyberpunk first, because then we could have segued quite nicely. But I think the Cyberpunk really, because I thought that you would have played it this week because of your.
I haven't. Yeah, but I don't think my friends got it.
See, I kind of banked on that for some reason in my head that you would have played it.
Back when 2K20 came, like a week and a half before it came out, he messaged me and said, "You get 2K20?" I was like, "Yeah," and he goes, "Maybe read this article then," and it was 2K20 absolute garbage fire full of don't buy. I was like, I'll skip that one then. And if he's not bought it, I'm gonna. Yeah, I'm not gonna buy it, so I'm waiting for him.
Yeah, fair enough. And I think based on, so I've watched. Did you watch that review I sent you a link of?
I never got a chance in the end, but
it doesn't matter.
I've seen enough. Here's my understanding, right? PC, Xbox Series X, great. Everything else, crap.
pretty much from what I understand as well. But to be honest, like even on PC and the next gen, or are we on the current gen now? Is this clicked to the current gen yet? A lot of people are calling the Xbox, the PS5 and the Xbox Series X current gen now.
I've actually come up with what I would determine as next gen, current gen. When, say, 100 people have Xbox Ones, when 51 of those people have an Xbox Series X, so when the majority of console owners have it, is when it becomes next gen.
Okay, I like that.
The majority of the user base.
I like
so
that.
I'm just putting that in my head, but it makes sense.
That makes sense. I like it. Only one person, from what I understand, on my friends list on Xbox has a Series X. Technically, two of them. But when I see them playing, it doesn't look like they're playing the Series X. Would I even know, though? Would I know? Because I know when I was playing the 360 and people had the Xbox One, I could tell it would say. But I don't know if it will say.
The friend I game share with, he's got an Xbox Series X, and he was online. I invited him to a party. An hour later, he was like, "Oh yeah, the Series X really." I was like, "What? Yeah, I'm on my Series X." I had no idea. There's no way of knowing.
There's no indication.
He was still playing the game I was playing, so except his crash less than mine. So
again, mate, this is what makes me think about Xbox Series X as like makes it less appealing to me, right? Like these superficial, petty things are what appeal to my subconscious. So like when I play, everyone talks about backwards compatibility, I don't care, because if I buy a new console, I want to play new things. If I want to play what I'm playing now, I will continue playing what I'm playing now. And then you've got the argument of improved graphics and better loading time. Yeah, I'm totally down with that. That's all good, of course. But do I need to like spend 500 quid to experience that? No, I want to pay 500 quid to experience new things. So when people talk about backwards compatibility, I don't care.
The only thing I would say backwards compatibility is good for, I mean, it's obviously good for playing older games, convenience. I don't need to have an Xbox 360, an Xbox One in my living room if the Xbox Series X is backwards compatible for all of them. That's it. It's convenience.
Yeah, it's just convenient.
If I'm not, unless it's a remaster, I'm not going to play an Xbox 360 game on an Xbox One and think, "Oh, this is going to be so much better," because it's not. It's
on top of this, you're also weighing up the convenience, though, because it's convenient in the moment, but the £500 is inconvenient in the moment, and that £500 inconvenience is a lot worse than a lot worse than the convenience of like, I don't have to turn this console on and off.
We are both going to get a next gen console at some point.
100%.
So that £500 is going to be there, whether now or in a year's time or 18 months.
I always like to get the later versions though, because like the first run of consoles, they always have issues. They always have issues.
Cyberpunk, give it 3 months time. Cyberpunk will probably run like a
100%. Beautiful segue back to what we went off tangent on. Like that is something that we have to get good at as well, being that is our gimmick. I think that is really interesting because with Cyberpunk, on the review I watched, the reviewer actually says he's a little bit jealous of the people that are going to be playing this for the first time in the future.
Yeah.
Well,
none of the memories of the drawbacks.
Exactly. Like, for instance, hopefully, me and you are going to start playing Wasteland 3 very soon. And Wasteland 3 is a game that I've completed. And when I downloaded that on launch day, I've been waiting for it for a while. I played the shit out of it. It crashed on me every hour, on the hour. The entire, I don't know how many hours I put into it, but the entire campaign, the entire way through the campaign, it crashed for me once per hour at least. I had frequent issues with it. And I loved the game so much, I just kept playing it. But I was thinking, I'm so jealous of the people that are going to be playing this once they've ironed out all the bugs, because this game's fucking fun. And that's why when you started downloading it, I was hyped, because we can do a co-op on it, and they've had loads of updates since, and no one's talking about the crashes anymore. So now it feels that the game's finally finished, and I get to go back and play it again, and it's justified because I'm playing co-op. Also, there are so many different avenues and things you can take that it's never going to be the same way twice. But I love Wasteland. I can't wait. So Cyberpunk Cyberpunk, the review is kind of, I honestly think that the way I have kind of foreseen this game is how it is. And the review kind of, I don't want to say confirmed, but it basically confirmed my fears and expectations. There's no third person, obviously, we know that. There's a third person. That was a pipe dream. It's the third person when you drive. Because that was one of the funny things they'd mentioned in the review. There are certain sections where you will see your character. There are certain sections where you might be like sat in something and there's a camera looking down, but it's on your character. And it was like every time my character appeared in these sections, he had no hair. So it was just like glitching with no hair, like kind of like what I look like when we tried to get the backgrounds on. And like there's frequent bugs. It crashes a lot. And this was somebody playing it on a PC. I'm probably getting 2 or 3 reviews mixed up from what they've said, but these are all people that have reviewed the game, people that played it on PC. I don't know if any of the reviews I'd heard had played on console.
No.
I think they played on PC, yeah.
I think the information I was aware of, that up until the very release day itself, the only people that were allowed to go out, or the people that were allowed to reviews are only allowed to review the PC versions, which made people worried that the console version was going to be rubbish, and CD were trying to hide that fact from the audience.
Yeah, I think like when you try and hide stuff like that, like I mean, like there's enough. I think there's enough goodwill with CD Projekt Red with Witcher. Like Witcher had, and we did touch on that before. But Witcher had like a really rough start, and that game is considered by everybody who's played it as a really good game, except me. I don't
like it, but I can appreciate why it's sort of got such good rep.
Same here. Like I totally respect that game. It's really just the characters. I'm not really that interested in being Geralt of Rivera or Riviera or Rivera. Like
I kind of like customization. I like being like choosing how I do things. When you've got a predetermined character, it's kind of like you can play it your own way, but it doesn't feel like it fits the story. No,
not at all.
I think what the games were, but there was games where you could like do it your way, but then in the cutscene it would be like you do it stealthily, then in the cutscene you'd run through with a machine gun and murder everybody. Be like, well, that's not what I was doing 2 minutes ago.
Exactly. What separates your screenshots of Witcher to my screenshots of Witcher? You know what I mean? Yeah. Like I want the characters to be totally unique to me in every way, shape, or form. I hate that I need to create my own characters unless the character that is given to me is so fucking cool that I could never have come up with them. Like, there's only a few games where I've got no customization, but I don't care because I couldn't have made a character as cool as that. Like, Nier Automata, the 3 main characters are all really interesting and sick. I love them. So that game is awesome. Oh, bye, Chris. See you later. That's cool. And so Nier Automata and maybe Metal Gear, but in Metal Gear, I will say this: I love all the characters in Metal Gear, but I do in Metal Gear 5 opt to pick one of the many soldiers that I've recruited, and I just be the one closest to what I would have created. So like, it does let me be my created character. It does. I just remembered. You complete the game, it lets you be a created character. Completely forgot. Scratch that.
If you complete the game.
If you complete the game.
I kind of like it's never been done before. Got to give credit to Ubisoft because, quite frankly, they are the kings of this worked, let's do it in every single game we've ever done. Far Cry, Assassin's Creed, Climb the Tower, the Watch Dogs. I've been playing it, and
Ghost Recon as well. They do that.
Yep, Ghost Recon, Wildlands, and then what was the other one? There was Breakpoint. Yeah. So they regurgitate a lot of the same features. But in Watch Dogs, you don't get to create a character, but you can recruit anybody, and then you can pick which people you want to play as. And it's just great fun because it's like, if I need to be stealthy, or if I have to do something discreetly, I'll pick a spy because spies are very discreet. Yeah. However, if I'm going to the local thugs, I will become a police officer and then enable the option to not knock them out, you stick them in handcuffs, and I love it.
That is good. I like that.
But it is a bit silly because I'll be like, you'll handcuff somebody behind a door, just the other side of that door is his friend, and you can approach to go and arrest his friend, when in reality, the guy who's been arrested would be going, Dave, well, a police constable, just do you want to come and help me? And they don't. So
Yeah.
little things like that.
He's a third. He's a third.
Yeah, but like you can be a Queen's Guardsman with the big black hat and the red uniform, walk around with a gun, and it's just fun. And I like being able to play your own way, which is things like Witcher doesn't give you. But again, I've just got my doors come, my package is here.
Do it.
Get the Twitch stream thing up.
I will. The bet. Oh, well, no, we'll just save the bets for the end of the show. Let's save the bets for the end of the show. I still got a few more things to say about Cyberpunk. So, with Cyberpunk, the game looks massive, and we're given, and that's kind of what reminded me of Wasteland 3, is the fact that we're told this game is very long, and we're told this game is, 100 plus hours out of it, that kind of thing, which is what they said about Wasteland 3. After I finished Wasteland 3, I didn't feel like I put anywhere close to 100 hours into it. And then upon review, you realize like there's that much of a game in there, but you can pretty much beeline to the end if you want to. And that's what Cyberpunk seems to be. Cyberpunk seems to be a case where you've got the option to have this huge open world, but it's more about...
In the 8 seconds it took me to get downstairs and open the door, it pissed off to my neighbours.
What a joke, eh? What a joke. But you got your delivery, presumably, by the looks of it?
Yes, indeed, yes.
Okay. I was just saying how in Cyberpunk, we're told that this is a very big, open, expansive game, but, in actuality, I don't think the game is as much big as it's given you the option to be a bigger game. It seems you can pretty much beeline to the end in 20 hours if you want to, whereas we're told this is a 100+ hour game.
Yeah, I think... Go away, Amazon. I kind of like that idea because it means you can play it your way.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not against it as such, because I was saying with Wasteland 3, this is a game everyone says, it's 100 hours long, it's a massive, massive game. And I was thinking, I didn't spend that long in it. And if you go and explore every nook and cranny, you can. But in an RPG like this, I very much role play. So there's certain situations where someone's come along and they're like, we'd like you to go and collect our droid. It's our droid. It's our technology. Blah 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 blah. And this droid's like sentient now, and it's like it comes to life. And I'm kind of like, well, no, I don't want to kidnap your droid. Like, it sounds like you guys are just like horrible people. And I could do like a whole little side story about going to hunt for this droid, or I could just kill them. And I said something along the lines of like, oh, you've come to the wrong place, pal. And we just drew on them, and we just had this massive gunfight, which was excellent. And I've changed a few details there as not to spoil if we play, because there's a few details in there. But we had this big gunfight, and I basically negated what could have potentially been 2 or 3 hours extra gameplay, because I've just killed them effectively. But that was how I wanted to do it with my character. That
reminds me, I can't remember his name, but the brief time I played in the Fallout world is that guy from the Brotherhood, or what, the Brotherhood of Steel or whatever, the guy that keeps sending you off to save new bloody...
No, it's they're like cowboys.
There's that one guy, the black guy that wants you to always go and...
It's like a meme, isn't it? It's a meme. It's a full meme, yeah. Because on Fallout, the first time I played through, I have every single settlement I have. That's
another settlement that needs your help.
Yeah, they're all connected. And I have a proper community of settlements built up around the entire map. The second playthrough I did with my second character, I never spoke to that one dude at all. The one place I have not been in that map is right where he is, because I never want to hear that sentence ever again. I hate hearing that. Oh, another settlement needs your help. Yeah, fuck them. Yeah, I love Fallout. I might get back into that. But I don't know. There's no point. I've done so much. There's literally no point. But yeah,
Dark Souls about 18 times.
Yeah, but Dark Souls is like, it's a progressive cycle. It's a progressive cycle. That's the best way to do it. It's a cycle that moves forward. There's a constant.
Kind of a bit. I don't know if this is a right comparison, but a bit like State of Decay, where even though you can carry on in the same areas but still gain from it.
100% that. Yeah, it's State of Decay and Dark Souls do have some similarities. The more I'm thinking about it now, 'cause, I mean, I started playing Dark Souls last night just because I was bored.
Where
And
you're murdered by a mimic.
well, yeah, which you like that clip. That clip was the mate. That was. I don't know if there's anybody who plays Dark Souls who watches this. Put it in the comments. But like, I didn't know mimics could break through your bonfire, and I still don't. This seems to be running quite smooth my end. But it's a little bit jarred. But I commentate as we go. So here I am. I think I'm very clever. I don't know why I greased up the blade to cut better. But anyway, I start going at the mimic, thinking I'm clever. I realise no, it's not a good idea. One hit, I'm down. I'm almost finished. I just got to go. I just need to leg it. I look around. The mimic's literally behind me. I don't know how it got there. No way it's going to fit through the door. Let's keep going. I look behind. Yes, get to the door, no problem. It's actually gaining speed on me now. Right behind me. I sit at the bonfire. I think I'm okay. I sit up. I think I double clicked too much. There it goes. Boots me in the spine, picks me up, and just chews my head off, basically. And that was the classic Dark Souls moment. But I'm almost positive that the mimics are not able to come through. You back with us now, Chris? Can you hear me?
I'm here. It's got to reset video up.
Reset video. Thank you for that video footage. So I'm always positive that the mimics, no bad guys are supposed to be able to break through the mist of the bonfire. When you go into that bonfire, you reset that section.
Yeah.
But I think I'm so panicky. I've double clicked it, so I've sat down and stood up before it clicked in. So it's still there, and I just love the fact it just comes out of the dust and just with a massive kick, it just punches me.
The ass.
It shoots me, and then it just eats me. But that is just why I absolutely love that game. I started playing it last night because I was bored, and I played it for about 4 hours. And I thought I'd got myself into a corner where there was no way I was going to beat this boss. But one of the things about Dark Souls is you don't give up. You just got to keep going. You don't give up. So I didn't give up, and I beat the boss in the end. And I got stuck again on a later bit, and then I beat that boss, and I got stuck again, and I beat that boss. And I can't remember where I got up to. I think somebody invaded my world and they kicked my ass horribly. So I was just like, you know what? Like, I'm just gonna leave it for the night. So yeah, that's Dark Souls, and that is a game that I dream of playing with friends. Nobody who ever played it with me plays it anymore, and everybody says they're gonna play it, but he never plays it. So
I never said I'm going to play it.
No,
with
I know.
you.
I wasn't hitting into you. I was hitting into one of my mates.
I'll never play that game with you.
I
At
suppose.
least you can bank on that.
Yeah, it's such good fun there. But I mean, like, really, like, to come back to Cyberpunk, there's not much to say on Cyberpunk, really. I think
Except
that
it's a bit of a mess.
it seems like a mess. Neither of us have played it, so we can't say outright whether it is or not. But
I don't think at this point I ever would have played it, because even with brand new, I've not bought a brand new day of release game since I think FIFA 20, which was back in 2019. So
my last day of launch. I don't class Games Pass as a day of launch because there's been loads of that.
I'm not paying for that. Well, no, I'm not paying for that.
There's Monster Hunter, but that's going back about 2 years.
That's a while back. Because of reasons like this, because you never know what you're going to get these days. The whole ability to patch post-release, day one patch, negates the reason for developers to finish a game.
Yeah.
Which brings the question, if Cyberpunk is like this now, what would it have been like without those 2 delays?
I actually don't think it would have been much difference. I think that there was just their last ditch effort to just try and get just a few more days. Let's just try and get just a few more, and see what happens. I'm still on screen share, by the way, so you've got a delayed version of me, all kind of laggy in the middle. I don't know how good that's going to be for fans.
Oh, I see. Yeah, I am.
Yeah, I was going to leave it because I quite like to be in the center of attention, but then at the same time, I was like, this isn't the best quality. But yeah, ultimately, Cyberpunk.
This is the best quality. That's correct.
Oh yeah, same. Cyberpunk. I think it's kind of as we presumed. There seems to be a lot of good features, but the lack of third person does not have my interest. So I'm sure there are people watching this that are like, "Oh man, you didn't talk about this, and you didn't talk about this, and you didn't talk about this." the problem for me is the hurdle is the bugs and the third person. And I want to create my character so bad. And at some point, if that game ever gets on Games Pass or I ever get my hands on it, I'm going to spend like an hour and a half creating a character. I might even stream it. And then I'm going to play it and I'm going to be like, I can't see my character. I'm going to stop playing it. But I'm still going to do that much. At the very least, I'm going to do that much. Because I think that some of the customization options seem pretty funny.
I don't remember if I saw this and it was what I saw, if I just imagined it, but have they got, when you shoot people, have they got numbers that pop out, damage numbers?
I believe they do.
Yeah, that really turns me off a game.
That turns a lot of people off of games. If it's
like, I mean, like, you play GTA and you want to be realistic. I get this game is cyberpunk, but you'd also want it to be a bit realistic. And yeah, that just breaks the immersion.
It breaks the immersion for me on some levels. Some games, like I've heard this debated, and the best argument for this, although I don't know how much it applies to cyberpunk, is like, say like Division, for example. Like you see that in Division, and it was one of the things that turned me off Division initially. However, there are certain weapons that you want to be seeing how much damage you're doing, and on certain bosses, based on the type of game it is, when you see those numbers jump from like 20 to 150, you're like, oh, better hit that spot, you know? But I am not a fan of it myself. A game like Monster Hunter could use it, but Monster Hunter goes the other direction. There is no indication apart from the enemy as to how much damage is done.
What I would like to see. Like,
yeah,
you shoot somebody in the leg. I like games which, like, if you shoot them in the leg, they only have one leg. If you shoot them in the arm, they can't use a two-handed gun. I like those.
But like Metal Gear Solid does what you just said then to an absolute T. If you shoot them in the arm, their arm goes down to the side. You shoot them in the leg, and they're just like, Monster Hunter, to come back to. If you're like beating up these monsters, after like however long, you know, as this monster starts to get run down, they're like dribbling, they're out of breath, they're like, you can see them bleeding, their shell starts to crack, and you can see the damage you're doing to them, and that's how you know. You know, when they're limping off into the forest, it's like, yeah, time to catch this bad boy. It's kind of like a kind of much more cruel Pokemon in that sense. Like you beat them to a bloody pulp, so they're limping and like, it's like, come here, and I'm gonna make something out of you.
Of a fighter game, which I do not like. No, I'll rephrase that. A genre fighting game, which I don't like, but a game, Deadliest Warrior. There's a mechanic where you can grapple with somebody, and then you either have to press A, X, or Y, and your opponent has to match it.
Kind of like a paper, rock, scissors type deal.
Yeah. If you press A and they don't match it, you break their leg. So then they're limping around. If you press B and they don't match it, you break their arm, and then they can't use shields. Sometimes can't use ranged weapons like a crossbow. Some still have spears and that. If you press Y, you kill them. With some really cool insta-kills sometimes. But what I love is when you get into it and you break your leg, you break their arm, and they're just there, one-legged, one-armed, just hopping about like a leper. Unable to do anything. It's good fun. I love those kind of mechanics, especially in like free open world games, because you just GTA does it as well. And also, like, if you shoot somebody in the leg and they fall over, they might get back up, or they might stay on the floor and bleed out and die.
Well, Red Dead does that the best.
Yes.
Red Dead really. Red Dead's like quite.
Hands, can't you?
You can't feel bad. Yeah, you can shoot guns out their hands. I'm pretty sure you can. Well, you can. You can block bullets with a knife. You can. So if you're holding the knife, you can actually block the bullets if you're good enough. There used to be a guy we played with. Like, there was a guy whose gimmick is like, I won't say his gamer tag. Maybe there's one out there. But there's a guy whose gimmick used to be on Red Dead, the first Red Dead Redemption. He would just use a knife. He was one of the top. He was in the top 100 frequently. He would only use a knife, and that was how he got his kills. And he was insanely good, like crazy good. And I like those gimmicks as well, where people are like, they're so good that they just don't use guns anymore. You know, I'm too good for guns. You know,
I'd love to hear about it.
Basically a Jedi within Red Dead, he was. So
with a 6-inch lightsaber.
Yeah, that's not been done yet. So, well, it probably has actually.
So I learned couple of days ago that like the Padawans, the little kids in the Jedi Academy, have lightsabers, but they're not full lightsabers.
Yeah.
So they cut people's arms off it for kids shit, which I just think is quite.
That is funny.
Yeah.
So yeah, well, let's move on. So I think Cyberpunk, we said what we're going to say. I think, to be honest, we're not finished with Cyberpunk. Cyberpunk will be back because...
yeah, that'll continue depending on whether it's good or not. I think it'll still be discussed regularly.
Still be discussed. We've got a little bit at the end of the show as well to do with Cyberpunk. So there'll probably be a little bit more on Cyberpunk as the day goes on. And but yeah, I mean, ultimately, we're not the best people to talk about Cyberpunk at this time, and I think we've given it quite a lot of our attention this week regardless. But we will give more. What are we looking like time-wise?
38. So it's about 23 minutes.
Yeah. Okay, so let's move on. I'm going to I'm in your hands now, Chris, because you are the man with the information when it comes to Star Wars, Disney, Marvel, of current times, and
canon.
Of canon, yeah, in canon. I'm saying in canon. I like the phrase "in and out of canon."
Hold on. Lean to one side again. You go grayer. You lose your color in your face when you go.
I've got a feeling I think it's the lighting, and the camera is not great.
That's weird. There's like a bubble around you. Like around you is fine, and then either side of you it just gets discolored.
Probably is this camera actually.
That's weird. Okay, so yeah, I woke up yesterday. I had no idea this was going on, and a friend of mine messaged me and said, like, "Look at all this." And Disney Investors Day, which I'm guessing is where the people at Disney go to all their investors and say, "Look at all this money we're going to print," because that's essentially what they've done.
Yeah.
There is, I think, in total, there's like 25 new shows coming out, ranging from Star Wars, Marvel. There's some weird ones we're not going to cover, but you know the film Up?
The Disney film with the old man and the balloons.
Yeah, they're doing a prequel series about that. There's a
series?
I could be wrong, but I believe it was a series about that. They're doing a Buzz Lightyear prequel, but not because there was loads of comments being like, "Well, that's just going to be a rubbish movie about some toy getting made in the Taiwanese factory." But it's an interesting. It's probably the best thing they could have done. It's not a backstory of Buzz. It's a backstory of the character Buzz is modeled on.
That is interesting.
So, like, you make a Power Rangers toy. It's not a film about the Power Ranger toy. It's a film about the Power Rangers.
That is quite meta.
It's a smart idea, I think.
I think that is very clever because then you can do the same with Woody.
Voiced by Captain America, Chris Evans.
Ah.
No, they've just gone, "Wait, you work for Disney? Okay, come over here."
I think that's like I'm really intrigued by that and what you can go ahead and do with that now because, I like that a lot.
They could have just made a series out of it, like a cartoon series. Yeah. It'd be like super meta. Anyway, let's get back to the good stuff because there's plenty to get through. I'm just going to share a few things here, which might get a bit, not quite sure which. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. We're going to probably lose Chris visually and audibly for a moment because we did practice this. We rehearsed.
It's exciting for you.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right,
we're going to give you some visual aids, and these should help.
There we go.
Visualize. Captain Marvel 2. Oh, We lost it. We had it, and then we lost it.
Oh, yeah, I see. All right, I know what I'm doing now. I thought I figured this out beforehand. So, yeah, I and Leon would consider the least interesting of Marvel at the moment.
110% least interesting of Marvel. Captain Marvel 2. What do we know?
I think, honestly, not that much. Brie Larson's in it. There's a crossover character. She was in the first one, the sidekick, Maria Rambeau. She was the one with the little daughter out in Louisiana. The fighter pilot, if you remember much about.
I remember saying, watching that film, that she is already better than Captain Marvel. Like, I think when I was watching that, I was like, she is more of a badass. She is more of a hero. I care about her more.
Her daughter goes on in the comics to be a hero, so that's going to happen. It looks like they're building up a Young Avengers with Ant-Man's daughter, the new Hawkeye series, which we might have here. I'm not sure I've got the shots of it.
Yeah.
And but the Maria Rambeau is going to be in WandaVision.
Okay.
But there's quite a lot of crossovers here. So let's see what else we've got. I'll go through the Marvel stuff, and then we'll get to the interesting Star Wars one.
Have you built this in such a way, like you say, that like they get more interesting as we go?
My list of things to look at. So
did you build these in such a way they get more interesting? Did you say?
I'm gonna try and click them in that way.
Yeah.
But
so far, so good.
The pictures I can see are quite small and hard to work out, so I'm gonna do my best.
I love that logo.
I can't quite see what they're doing with this one because everyone's favorite little tree, but in the latest film he was grown up. In Avengers Infinity War, he was like teenage. So I'm guessing this is going to be before Infinity War.
Well, I can as a writer in Hollywood, I can easily put myself in that shoes to sort it out. So they've had their meeting and they say, we want a show. What's the most marketable version of Groot? And everyone's like, oh, Baby Groot. Everyone loves Baby Groot. Let's get Baby Groot. And then someone says to you, like Chris Payne sat in the boardroom and he says, but how's that going to happen? Because in the last films he was a teenager. And then the other guy says, fine. The film starts off and it's Big Groot. And then something happens and it's like, oh no, back to a baby again. The gimmick.
No, it won't be that because Groot going from Big Groot to Baby Groot is a big thing. But in fact, saying that, I know there's lots of rumors in the latest Guardians of the Galaxy film, and possibly even what's the film, Thor: Love and Thunder, that he's going to be in that, and he's going to become this sort of super uber Groot. So it might be a case of he becomes super uber Groot, dies, and gets reborn as Baby Groot.
Or even in the same thing, becomes super uber Groot, and then like in using all of his power in that moment, oh, I'm Baby Groot again. I need to charge that.
Yeah, exactly. So that it could be a prequel, it could be a follow-on. What I do like I'm not a big fan of Groot, if I'm honest, especially Baby Groot. I don't like little games. So it says here it's going to be a series of shorts, which means there's not going to be that many, and I doubt shorts don't tend to have big impacts on the overall MCU. Like, I don't know if you're aware of all the Marvel one-shots they did.
I don't think I am.
Basically, they were little retcons, like Iron Man 3, they had the Mandarin, and it was that Jeffrey Slattery, and everyone hated it. They did a one-shot where he was in prison, and then he met the real Mandarin to try and retcon the mistake they made. So there are a few things like that around which that they do, and I'm hoping it's going to be like that, but less relevant to the MCU.
I can imagine it. I haven't interrupted you there, Chris, because you've interrupted yourself by losing your visual and audible capabilities. I can imagine the Groot show being like out of canon. Like I can imagine it like being just like, oh, here's Groot at Christmas, or here's Groot having a birthday. Speaking of,
that was a very good segue.
That was an insanely good segue by accident as well.
This is another thing I don't really care about. I'm not a big fan of the Guardians. I
like Chris Pratt a lot, but
yes, I like them individually. Not a fan of the collective.
Agreed.
So, this one, James Gunn's back, which is good, but I'm surprised they're not going straight into Guardians 3 because, like, that's an odd one. You'd think as soon as they get James, because Guardians of the Galaxy was their biggest sleeper hit they've ever done. It outperformed anything they were expecting because no one knew who they were.
Yeah.
So I'm surprised they haven't gone for a big Guardians 3 yet. But then again, the Thor Ragnarok does have Chris Pratt, Vin Diesel, Rocket in it, Groot in it. So that's almost a split between the two, really.
My favourite Guardians of the Galaxy characters are, of course, Star-Lord. And I don't know the character's name, but who's that, like, alien girl who's kind of all ditzy and dumb?
Oh, Mantis.
Yeah, she's hilarious.
I think she's a good cook. She's good cook. She's not comedic relief, but she's funny.
Yeah, because they're all kind of comedic, aren't they? Like, there's less of them are serious than are.
they do have some good comedy moments.
Yeah. That's what I like about Guardians. It's not so much them that I like; it's the situations that they find themselves in, and these funny kind of back and forth and banter. It's very much a banterific type show.
Here's another one. These are all serious so far. I think I got a few more to go on the Marvel front. Forget Star Wars. Armor Wars with Don Cheadle as War Machine. Not entirely sure what a classic Marvel story about Tony Stark's worst fear coming true. I'm guessing. I mean, it says there what happens when his tech falls into the wrong hands, but who that is, I don't know. But I like Don Cheadle. I really like Don Cheadle. I don't know why. He seems very uncharismatic, but I don't know. I think he does the comedy well. He's a army colonel, so he's very stoic.
Yeah.
But just has little moments of hilarity. Hilarity? That's not a word.
Hilarity is now.
Hilarity. So I'm quite interested because he's always had a very minor role in the MCU. Like he existed. He was a thing in the first Avengers, but they never called him, which seemed a bit weird.
Yeah, so, I really like Don Cheadle. I think he is a sick actor. I feel like over the years his roles are less charismatic. Like you pointed out, that he seems more stoic in that because he is like this military character. But there's films.
Gone.
I would say there's films he did when I first heard of him, where he was like extremely charismatic on camera, and he was very more like out there.
There's only one film I've seen him in other than an MCU film, and that was it's one of the Oceans films.
Yes, he was in those, wasn't he? There's a film that's definitely worth watching called, I believe it's called Out of Sight, and it's him. He's like the main bad guy, and it's Jennifer Lopez and George Clooney. And it's the first time I ever saw him. It's getting on a bit now. This film's it's quite old, but that I always remember that thinking Don Cheadle was like a badass. He's like a badass character. I want to see this guy everywhere. But he almost reminded me a little bit in that movie of Wesley Snipes from Demolition Man. He had a bit of that to him, and that is a sin against the world that you have not seen Demolition Man. Like that is.
The list of good films I've not seen is the list of good classic films I've not seen is far too long to.
Yeah. Basically, if you know if there's like a classic movie, and you're like, oh, you've seen that film, haven't you? Chris has not seen that film. Like it blows my mind because films like that. But yeah, Don Cheadle, great guy.
Do you know Ironheart? Any information on what that is?
No, but let me look at this and see if I can work out. The most massive Iron Man. So how does this tie in then with Armor Wars?
Honestly, I think it might not. I don't know. There is still very little information on any of these except what these Disney tweets have been saying. Originally, the whole thing of Riri Wiliams was she was mentored by Tony Stark. However, and spoiler alert, he's dead.
Yeah.
So how they're going to bring that in is going to be really interesting. I don't know whether she creates her own because she is pretty, science-minded. So she might just sort of see it and go, you know what, I can make that, and then does her own. Or they might actually tie it into the current MCU, or the current Iron Man legacy somehow.
But I would say, no, carry on.
Yeah, I saw some guy comment, and it was literally just that. And I don't know if you know, Riri Wiliams is a black girl. And this dude was like, I'm not watching that. I was like, what exactly are you basing that statement on? Because if you're subscribed to a nerd Facebook, commenting on a nerdy Facebook thing, just saying you're not going to watch that, I can only see two reasons you're not going to watch that. You don't like black people, and you don't like women.
Yeah.
That's it. That's all I got. And I kind of love the idea of it.
I think.
Go.
No, say what you're going to say. I feel you're going somewhere then.
They were always going to have an Iron Man, replacement. Not a replacement, but you know what I mean. And I kind of hoped it was going to be Harley Keener, who was the little boy from Iron Man 3, who had the potato gun and did all that. But I kind of like where this is going. I like the Ironheart idea.
I definitely think that is something like to try and have a new Iron Man would be foolish. You know, to try and bring somebody in to fill Robert Downey Jr.'s shoes
It's not.
correctly, it wouldn't work. So you cannot do that for years and years and years.
He's
So,
one of those born to play mixes. They're
100%.
rare, but he was born to play that role.
100%. Like, if anybody else comes along and is Tony Stark in this generation, in our lifetime, then we're going to be like, that is weird. You know, it doesn't matter if they're good or bad.
It's a bit like with Chadwick Boseman's passing, and I think they've said they're not going to recast him. They're gonna not create. There's gonna be a different Black Panther now.
Yeah.
They're not going to recast T'Challa.
I'm all about that. And like, it happens all the time in comic books anyway. You know, if something happens to Bruce Wayne, then you've got Damian Wayne and Dick Grayson to step in. You know what I mean? Like, I'm all about that.
Interestingly, on DC front, apparently there's gonna be a new Batman comic coming out, and he's black.
Black man.
Black.
I can get away with that joke.
Black. That is the shittest superhero name ever. It is I, Black Man.
Black man. I don't know. It's pretty good. You see how it works.
It does sound a little bit better than White Man. White Man sounds like a terrible. I whiten things.
Mate, I think we just come up with the ultimate race comic. It's called Race Wars. Black Man is the protagonist, and because if you had it any other way around, that would be morally wrong, of course. And then White Man can be the antagonist, and you fill in the gaps. You go from there. We'll come back to that.
No, we won't.
No, we won't. Yeah, scratch that. So,
Ironheart. There's a couple more.
We've lost Chris again when he gets up the screen share. So yeah, I like the idea of this Ironheart. I'm intrigued to see where it goes. I think that when you've got something with like the Iron Man tech and that kind of thing, I want to see tech. I want to see crazy tech. Okay, what's this then?
This is the first film on here, and this one, there's loads of stuff coming out. There's like Spider-Man 3, which we need to discuss at the end of this. There's Doctor Strange, Multiverse of Madness. There's a Falcon and Winter. Basically, this is all the brand new stuff we know nothing about.
Yeah.
This is the third Ant-Man called Quantum Mania, which feels a bit like Multiverse of Madness, but in the quantum realm. So this could be manic. I'm assuming you've heard of Kang.
Yeah, and I've heard. I actually have from the Lego games. I know. I'm very familiar with Kang from the Lego games.
He is going to be the main. He's going to be the main villain. Kang the Conqueror.
This could be good.
I doubt that you're aware of this. I doubt many people are. In the Ant-Man film, when he went into the quantum realm for a brief period, there was like a teeny. I don't know if you can see me. You can you?
I can.
There was like a very tiny in the back of the screen looking city thing, which, as Marvel do, most people think it was planted there for this very reason, because Kang has a city in the quantum realm, and we reckon, I say we as if I'm part of the nerd community. I am, but not
as if I'm part of the nerd community. We both are.
We will believe that that's going to be his city, which is where this Kang the Conqueror is going to come into it. So
well, that makes perfect sense.
Quantum Mania could be great. Quickly run through the last. Going to quickly run through the last one because there's quite a few things to discuss.
Oh, we've lost him again. Yeah, Quantum Mania. I think we're going to have him back quite quickly here. Yeah, he's back already.
There was no fanfare for this, but obviously the Fantastic Four is Marvel's first family. The first two attempts went terrible, but this...
Well, 3 attempts, hasn't there been? There's been 3 films.
3 films, yeah, 3 films. Two like sets of films. 2 sets of films.
I gotta admit, I actually liked Fantastic Four 1 and 2. I liked them. I don't know why.
I don't dislike them. I think they're very campy comic book. They're fun to watch, but they're not great comic book action films. A bit like we were talking earlier on, and I've been off camera about how the sequels have spoiled us for comic book films. I think the MCU and the Dark Knight have, especially the Dark Knight trilogy, I think Marvel's better than that, but I can see how other people might not think that. But basically, those 2 things have raised the bar for hero films. So Fantastic Four falls well below that. What did you think of the reboot?
What did I think of the
rebooted Fantastic Four?
I never watched it because I hate the cast. I think
Really?
that the woman who plays the Invisible Woman is Kate Mara, is it?
No, I
Just not a fan. I just don't like things where she's in it. She really irritates me. She's usually like a bad guy character, and it kind of works for her. And then you had,
facial feature, that like resting bitch face thing going.
yeah, she's really just, I don't know. And then the guy who played Johnny Flame. Well, Chris Evans, of course, you cannot get Johnny Flame again, of course. But I can't. I just thought they rebooted it too soon, you know. But then you had to, because you can't have Chris Evans being Johnny Flame.
I mean, I think after the second one, Rise of the Silver Surfer, I don't think they were ever going to do a third one. I think it was like done.
Yeah. But I never watched it. But the cast kind of put me off. Although the guy who does do Johnny Flame, I actually really like him as an actor. Although I've only ever really seen him in The Wire when he was very young.
He was doing a poll.
He was in Creed, you mean?
Yeah, that one. Yeah.
Yeah, I've not seen
He was
that.
also in Black Panther.
Oh yeah, he is, isn't he?
He played the villain, the Killmonger.
So hang on a minute. So I guess you can't have Chris Evans being Johnny Flame then, if he can be in MCU twice.
That Fantastic Four is not the MCU. That doesn't count.
Oh, what? Okay. So that makes me feel slightly better about it then. So the fact
those were way before the MCU was even a thing.
Sweet. Okay.
This Fantastic Four on screen now is the first time Marvel Studios MCU has ever done a Fantastic Four film.
Okay, then now I am excited officially, and I'll tell you what I don't want, just because the first film did it so much. I know it's part of the storyline, but I really don't want to have a big focus on the Thing. Like, he's a thing. He doesn't like being a thing. Let's move on. I don't want to spend ages exploring his emotions.
Well, I can see them put a bit of time to it, because it can be, it depends who directs it, because I know that certain directors are very good at putting emotional stakes into things, which it could be good for, but we'll see.
He's never going to hit I Love You 3000 levels of emotion, so he just needs to move on.
Saying that, what do you think of the first three Spider-Man films? Because as you can see on screen, John Watts directs the new Fantastic Four film. John Watts directs the last three Spider-Man films. The last two Spider-Man films.
So I've not seen the ones with Tom Holland properly. I know. They've been on. I haven't watched them properly. I could say I've watched them, but it would be slightly dishonest, because I didn't really watch them. They were being watched.
They didn't have your full attention.
Yeah. But I have, I am very familiar with the Tom Holland Spider-Man from the Avengers movies, and I know you said that doesn't count. It totally fucking counts.
Not in terms of the director. I mean,
not in terms of the director, but as far as like Tom Holland as Spider-Man, like I am qualified to say whether he is good or bad Spider-Man off of purely the Avengers movies.
Yeah, that's fine. Cliff notes. That's all of the major releases that I've got. But then there was trailers for WandaVision, trailers for Falcon and the Winter Soldier, trailers for Loki, which looks very good, because from the things we've seen in the trailers, it looks like I don't know if you know the story of Loki. In Endgame, he got the Tesseract, disappeared with it.
Yes.
Which created a separate timeline where there was no Ragnarok, there was no Infinity War, he didn't die. This is going to explore what happens after that. And it looks like there's definitely two things in the trailer which suggest that they're going to use real world events and say Loki had a part in it, which I love.
Okay, that's really cool. And like, do you know what? Like, I don't even know why I didn't even think about this. Because this is usually the kind of thing that I would be like, hang on a minute. But yeah, that whole bit where they go back to try and get shit, and Loki ends up just spoiling it because it all goes awry, and he gets thing and just disappears. And they're like, where the fuck did Loki go? And you never see him again. And like, usually I'd be like, oh, where did he go? That's a whole different storyline. There's a whole thing to explore, and that's exactly what they're doing. I love that.
I think they knew at that point back in 2018 that they had this plan for all these series to come out, and were laying down the seeds for them to be able to do that and fans to care, because Loki is the best, he's the first or second best villain Marvel have ever done, between him and Thanos.
Good. It is Tom Hiddleston, isn't it?
Tom Hiddleston, yeah.
There's a great bit.
He's a very good actor for.
There's a great bit in whenever I think of him now, I think of this Alan Partridge bit from the Alan Partridge podcast, and he's talking about his idea for a new James Bond. And he's like, oh, you know, some people are talking maybe it should be a woman, maybe it should be somebody like a black guy like Idris Elba. He's like, but I very much like the idea that I've come up with. He's like, not just one Bond, but two Bonds. He's like, Idris Elba, Tom Hiddleston, James, and Bond. Together, the whole story is to go against some computer virus. He's like, in License to Kill, malware. Go check out the Alan Partridge podcast. If anybody even remotely is even aware of Alan Partridge, check it out. It's fun.
Yeah, great. That sounds. Do that. Yeah, I'm not a big fan. You are though. You're a big fan.
I love Alan Partridge. I've lost him again. Alan Partridge is my favorite comedian. Well, he's not Steve Coogan, obviously, but as a comedy character, Alan Partridge is my numero uno. I think he is so funny.
All right, this is the stuff we can both get behind because you're a lot more Star Wars than MCU here.
Yeah, I am.
So, Rogue Squadron. I'm not entirely sure about this one. I don't know what it is.
So when I see Rogue Squadron, I just think of the game that came out many years ago, and
it probably resembles that quite a lot.
I would say that this is the game, and this are probably both based on a particular story that I cannot say. I played the game, but I couldn't tell you what the storyline of the game was way back in the day.
What was the setting? What time period?
I believe it was like Empire.
Okay, so original trilogy.
Original trilogy era, I believe. So, because these would be the Rebels. So, and you can also tell by the X-wing.
The X-wing, yeah.
So, I think this will probably be based on the same story as the game, or the game and this are both based on some comic or book around this particular crew. Like, not like the 501st, I know we're a clone faction in the Clone Wars, but like a 501st, like a famous squadron.
A starfighter 501st.
Yeah. So it'd be like I reckon this would be your Star Wars Top Gun. Again, anything that draws away from lightsabers and Jedi and Sith is always going to be for me pulling away from what makes Star Wars unique and interesting. This is a nice different take.
Yeah, we'll have another discussion on that another time because that is a big issue for me.
That is a big ass conflict that me and Chris have on the necessity of the Force users. But I'm very much pro Force.
Leon's a child, and if it's not got a big flashy lightsaber in it, he doesn't care.
Mate, it's lightsabers, Jedi, and Sith are your USP. They are your unique selling points of Star Wars.
I agree with. Let's keep that.
Well, I'm presumably saying that we're going to park that, come back to it, because that is an ongoing one for me and Chris. One that we constantly hit a crossroads on. But yeah, Rogue Squadron, I think. Star Wars Top Gun. Interesting. It's not been done. Why not? Let's see how it goes.
It's between Rogue Squadron and Andor. Which one do I care the least about? I of all the characters of all the Star Wars, I'm surprised Andor. I mean, he must have had some fan support from somewhere. I don't know why. I don't particularly like the guy. But yeah, Cassian Andor. He was the male. He was the co-star alongside. What was the woman's name? Not the actor, the character in Rogue One. Jyn Erso.
Yes.
She was. Cassian Andor was the captain of like her little squad.
Oh, well, so he's and spoiler alert for those non-Rogue Oneians, but he's the one who dies at the end of Rogue One with her.
Oh, seriously, spoiler alert! Like, if you've watched A New Hope, you kind of know where it's going.
But some people don't, like you could go into Rogue One and not necessarily, because there's a lot of characters that appear within Star Wars that might not show up later on. Like, are we to now assume that everybody in Mandalorian dies because they're not in Force Awakens or mentioned? Do you know what I mean? Like,
we don't even know if he dies on Scarif. It wasn't Scarif, was it? It was Yavin.
I think it was Scarif. No, it was Yavin. Maybe it was Yavin. I think it was Yavin 4, yeah.
No, it
I
was
think it was.
Scarif. No, it was Scarif because they beamed the plans up and then he blew up Scarif. Yeah, it was Scarif.
Scarif. It was Scarif, yeah.
We don't even know. We didn't actually physically see him die. He
That's
kissed
true.
Chewie, shockwave arrived, and the camera pans out.
In Star Wars, if you don't see them die, then they may not have died. That is true. In
Star Wars, if you see them get lightsabered across the stomach, they look dead, but they still might not die.
Unless you see them fade away into the Force.
That's the one.
They might.
In Star Wars, if you see someone get picked up and then launched into space through a big shaft, they still might not die.
If you see somebody fall into a Sarlacc pit, which are infamously known not to let people out and digest them over thousands of years, they probably will fall in again several times and escape each time.
That's lore. That's not canon. But
is that not canon anymore? Is that not canon anymore?
I don't believe so.
Oh, he definitely at least came out once.
Yeah, he definitely came out once. Yeah. Although there was but there was a serviceable explanation in The Mandalorian about how that happened.
I'm down with Boba Fett never getting eaten by Sarlacc. I feel like that is Boba Fett's gimmick. We fall in Sarlacc pits and get out.
I'm trying to think of more examples where people died but they didn't die. So we've done Maul.
Mace Windu. Oh, actually, no. Is Mace Windu dead?
I hope not. I like the character, but I think he probably is. So definite ones that died but then didn't die are Maul, Palpatine, Fett. There's going to be more, but anyway. So yeah, I mean, the thing I'm looking at is Andor. The O is the Rebels Republic insignia.
Yes.
How well known was that pre A New Hope? Was the Rebel a big thing before A New Hope? Was that?
It does look like a more infantile version of. It doesn't look like quite a detail. Well, I say infantile, it's probably the wrong word.
I know what you mean, like a prototype.
Yeah. Yeah, it looks like that could evolve into what turned into the.
It would suggest it was in the build up to Rogue One. So I'm probably not going to watch that.
I 100% care the least about that. I don't even like the character. I don't.
Yeah. All right.
That character is nothing to me. Andor. He's not even a good guy, really.
No, I keep talking and then realizing that I'm not.
I know, and I covered for that one beautifully.
So this is the second to last, and this has two. Ahsoka, which is obviously Ahsoka Tano. Leo hates her lightsaber fights. Go away! I'm screen sharing. Go away, you idiot! I hope he sees that. He probably won't. But anyway, oh my god, I muted this. I swear to God, I muted this.
No, that is out of. He's doing it on purpose. That's code of conduct out the window. Red card.
I swear I muted I just muted the wrong one. Anyway, so Ahsoka Tano. Both of these seem to be spin-off from The Mandalorian.
So where would the Rangers be set?
Both of them during The Mandalorian, because in The Mandalorian Season 2, we have seen the New Republic. We've seen a couple of fighters in the New Republic, and spoiler? Nah, I won't. But the New Republic,
it might be done.
The New Republic plays a minor role. And not the New Republic as a thing, but the sentiment of the New Republic plays a role in Mandalorian.
Okay.
So okay, that could be a thing. Basically, some people from the New... It's not really spoilers, because this is only speculation. There are people... somebody from the New Republic in The Mandalorian says something along the lines of, there are some things going on in the outer rims that we're trying to get a handle on. And the speculation is, those things are the rising up of the First Order. So if this turns out to be a series, which is the Rangers of the New Republic trying to track down, investigate, stop the First Order in its infancy, I could definitely watch that.
That sounds really good. I'll tell you one thing. This is why I've never got behind the Rebels or the Republic, because they never have any style, right? It's like, it's always the ones that are Palpatine-led that have the style. So, like, the Republic back in the Clone Wars had the clones. and the clones look awesome, and it's like these guys got some style, and the Separatists look like shit. Well, they didn't look like shit, but they didn't really have as much style. They were just droids. They didn't have as much style, but they still kind of looked.
I know what you mean.
Some of them looked okay, like the battle droids, but apart from that, they didn't really have much style, right? So then the Empire kicks in, and you got the Stormtroopers. Stormtroopers look cool. The Rebels just look like a makeshift bunch of rebels, but they just they don't.
Not exactly the point of the Rebels.
It is kind of, but they don't. It still doesn't deny whether it's right or wrong. It doesn't deny the fact they have no style. And then if you want to go through to the First Order generation, the First Order are arguably the best looking military in all of Star Wars. They look awesome. All of them look awesome. Like, I'm not the biggest Kylo Ren fan, but he looks awesome. Like, his mask and everything looks great.
Ironically, I like the look of Kylo Ren when he doesn't have his stupid lightsaber.
Yeah,
because he looks imposing.
But when he's got his mask on and the hood down,
the cape,
badass, right? And then
that is the most Vader he ever was.
Oh, big time! And Phasma looks awesome, and the Sith Troopers look sick, and
a lot of people were disappointed that there was no Phasma origin story in these announcements.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, when you've got a character like that, because she's like kind of a Boba Fett of this generation, because like she probably gets slightly more time on screen than Boba Fett ever got in the movie.
She was literally given the same sort of reputation as Boba Fett, and the exact same screen time and the exact same crappy death.
Yeah. She's the Boba Fett of the new trilogy, and she's arguably better. She's arguably better than Boba Fett was in the movie, as far as what she does and how she comes across.
She does have a bit more of a presence to her.
Yeah,
but I think she's high up in the military, whereas Boba Fett was a hired goon.
Yeah, but I think Phasma is a great character. So not have more Phasma is a bit silly. But Sith Troopers look sick, and all of the range of Stormtroopers for the First Order all look good. Every single one of them. The officers look good. Everything looks good. Like
something you said about like the rebels from the original trilogy look, for want of a better expression, scruffy.
Yeah.
The TV show, The Rebels, which I'm literally three quarters of the way through, 3 out of 4 series, they literally, you see a semi-outsider's perspective of how the different cells of rebels come together to create this ragtag rebellion.
Yeah.
And it's really good.
I mean, yeah, I wouldn't change it per se, but it doesn't stop me from
thinking the other one looks better. You're right. I agree.
Yeah.
And Ahsoka is, well, this is again maybe spoilers for the end of Star Wars Rebels. At the end of Star Wars Rebels, 2 of the protagonists, well, the protagonist and the antagonist, disappeared to hyperspace somewhere, and this was thrown up. The legitimacy of this theory was thrown out by, ironically, a guy on screen, Dave Filoni, because there's a scene at the end where Ahsoka meets one of the other rebels from the series, and they appear to go and search for the main character, Ezra Bridger, and the antagonist, Thrawn. But then he put out a tweet saying something like, not everything in this series in chronological order. So that could he just be baiting people, but who knows? But the theory goes that the series of Ahsoka is probably going to focus on her search for Ezra Bridger and Thrawn.
That sounds fucking interesting, if I'm honest. Like, that sounds like, of all the Star Wars stuff that's been released and talked about so far, that to me is like getting back on track to what I want to know about. Like, I want to know about
theory and could be completely wrong.
Yeah, that's true. but at least just getting Ahsoka, because I'll be honest, right? Until I saw clips, I'll be honest, I thought that the pictures I'd seen of Rosario Dawson as Ahsoka were fan-made. Like, not that they looked bad, they didn't look bad. I just thought, like, no, it's too good to be true. Like, I thought, no, we're getting like these characters I know about Jedi-wise coming back into this. No, I'm not going to believe it. And like, I don't know why, because I'm just a skeptic. But getting Ahsoka to turn up on Mandalorian with white lightsabers for me is like such a step in the right direction.
All right, you have to speed this up because we're on 1:17 right now.
Oh,
so
Jesus. Yeah, let's wrap this up.
One more to go through real quick. Then we got a couple of other things.
It's funny because I watched a few podcasts, and one of the podcasts I watched has gone up to 4 hours in the past, and they always joke about how hard it is to keep the time down. And I always think it can't be that fucking hard to keep the time down. And then, like, what I am noticing every week, it is harder to get the time down. And, like, I think this week we came to the table.
Come on!
I came to the table at least with the least ever. I say least ever, like we've done so many. But I only had a little bit of cyberpunk as a subject today. But I must say, Chris, hats off to the presentation. I do think that getting screenshots like this pre-show has worked to our benefit massively.
This, for most Jedi Star Wars fans, is the big one, the Obi-Wan series, which nobody, Hayden Christensen returning was never a thing. This is 10 years after. Christensen. Okay, Christensen, whatever. My bad. This is set 10 years after Revenge of the Sith, so he's going to be full-on Vader garb. So it's going to be interesting to see how he takes on the role of being Darth Vader and not being, or saying how he takes on being post-burned Vader as opposed to pre-burned Vader. But yeah, I don't know what the theories are on where this is going. But according to Ewan McGregor, there is going to be a rematch.
So this is why I like this, because this is more stuff to tie the old to the new. And the more that they tie the old to the new, for me, the better it makes me feel that what I'm watching actually is the same Star Wars universe.
Yes.
So there's that element, which has to be a good thing for them. For me, it helps me see it as that, but it's going to help them keep me as a viewer more, I think, potentially. And at first, I kind of thought, like, I liked Hayden Christensen's Anakin. I know a lot of people didn't, but I really did. And I kind of thought, though, does he need to be Vader? Because Vader can just be anybody at this point. Like, Vader was fucking perfect in Rogue One. So, let's do that again. Who cares?
Yeah, but the fact it is him does add a bit of weight to it, I think. Gives him a bit of chance to redeem himself in the eyes of the disapproving fans.
100%. And I had a thought. I love Anakin being his kind of weird sociopathic nutter self. And I love Vader doing like very much the same. But they had different styles about it. But this might be a way to really glue the Anakin we know to the Vader we know. I mean, like, because it's so synonymous.
Transition.
A real proper
to A New Hope.
Oh yeah, real proper glue. Like there's a bit in the Lego Star Wars where like he's off to get there's a Star Wars show called like Freemakers, and these guys are like salvagers and they salvage shit and all that. And one of them like loves spaceships and like Vader's after him and blah blah blah. There's a bit where like there's a ship and Vader sees the ship and he gets distracted by this cool ship and he kind of looks over to it and then he gets like this flashback of when he's a kid, like driving around in podcasts in fucking pod races and shit, and how like when he was like also in Duel of the Fates and he's taken on this other thing and he gets this flashback. It's like, oh, I love ships, and he's just like, I'll be right back, guys. I just need to go check this thing out. And just like Vader runs off to the ship and just starts like ripping around the ship. And it's like, I was like, that's so cool. I was like, that's so good because that's the Anakin in him.
Yeah.
And I loved it. I loved it. So I like, even if it's just a little bit like this. So even if it's like a serious moment, Vader comes across some like some fucking I'm thinking of the word now. What is Han Solo? What is he? Smuggler. Like Vader might come across some smugglers, right? And he might be like, this is the latest Y2566 model. Like, didn't know these were in stock yet. So even if it's something like that I think that would be so great.
Yeah, Vader, to show that Vader isn't just kill the Jedi, rule the galaxy, kill the Jedi, rule the galaxy, rule the galaxy, kill the Jedi.
They got layers, man.
Got more to it, yeah.
If I win this week's bet, I know what I'm shouting out.
All right. Two last things. Do you reckon we got time for the top lightsaber fights, or do that next week again?
Do that next week because there's no way I can't not talk in depth about every single one.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
Sorry, guys. I wouldn't want to do any.
If anyone actually gave a damn about that, our bad.
Yeah, well, you know that's what's coming next week. We've got things booked for next
We also said that last week, so who knows?
That's true. Well, next week we promise top 10 lightsaber fights will be discussed.
Top 3. There's only
Top
like
3.
20.
Okay.
Maybe we'll see.
No, we'll do top 3
10.
because we'll do top 3. We'll do top 3 because that's
I've got my
easier. Yeah, I don't have my because I was thinking then I've got to put 10 together. Yeah, if I 3 because I love them all, but I know what top 3 are.
All right, we're at 122 now, so
Okay.
maybe
let's call it at 130 then. So what have we got? What's the last subject then?
the Cyberpunk concurrent.
Oh, I bet.
Yeah, Twitch viewers.
Okay, cool.
I wasn't sure if I froze then or you froze then, or we both just stopped talking for a second.
We stopped talking. I look like a freeze. Okay, so I'll type in in fact,
This is where there's no one screen share and see what he's been searching on Google.
No. Let's make sure I don't want to host disabled participant screen sharing. That's what I was looking at. You need to enable me to screen share, please, good sir.
Oh, how do I do that? All right, I got this.
I think every single time we go to do it, you're like, how do I do it? And I'm like, I'll have a look. And then you're like, oh, I figured it out.
I mean, it's not
said that last time.
It's not in the same place I expected it was. Hold on.
Well, while you do that, I'll go find out what it is.
Try that now.
All right, let me try. Yeah.
Yep.
Can you see my screen?
I can. Cyberpunk. Oh, I see. Yep. Oh, I see what you're doing.
Okay, so let's check out the bet. So if that is real time, then I'm blown away. So it was all about Cyberpunk views on Twitch. How many views will be viewed on Twitch? Now, I cannot remember the exact wording, but if I was going to word that today, I would word it as how many views does the top streamer have playing Cyberpunk? That's how in my head what it was. But I don't know if I said that. I don't know if I said how many.
I think it probably was single because I mean I don't know what I was expecting, but I mean, what are the top ones? Will it be the one the most at the top? Is it that simple?
Yeah,
okay.
It is that simple. And I mean, because we've got 213,000 viewers, but I wasn't thinking as an overall. I was thinking more of as a single video. So just so that's what we say it was, because that's what you thought, and that's what I thought, and that's what.
Otherwise, I'd win, but not by much because we both sucked at it.
Yeah. So I said 10,000 viewers on the video.
I think it was at 25. I think.
You said 33.
Okay, let's go 33 then.
So we're gonna scroll down. Oh. So the top viewers on the top video is 20 point. That play now. You can see it there. Is it Carnage is the streamer? 100% Cyberpunk 27/7 run. 20.4 thousand viewers. You can see that live on my screen.
Hold on. Is that the drop? 20K, 16K, 3K. That's a hell of a drop between the top three.
I don't know. I mean, like, I guess it comes down to the types of streamers they are.
Yeah, but like, if the top one's got 20, the second one's got 16, and the next one's 3, that's a total of 39,000 people. So there are 200,000 people watching like the other 1,600 people doing it.
Yeah, 3K, 1.6K, 1.1, 482, 105, 2. So now it goes up a bit there.
There is no real like why there's oh well. So yeah, I mean that was you. You were closer by 10,000. You beat me by 3,000.
Yeah, I was. Yeah, of course I was. I win. But it was very much in the middle of both of our bets, to be fair. You were too high and I was too low if we were going on actual numbers. So I guess that means that you had higher expectations and my expectations were too low.
How long has it been out? 10th, yesterday. It's only been out a day. That's actually not that high for 1 day old. Oh, no, it's Thursday, wasn't it? 10th.
Yeah.
Yesterday was the 11th. Yeah. I mean, it's still only 2 days old.
It might go, well, I mean, I don't know if that's going to go up again, but I guess that you might get certain players, there'll be certain streamers that will come along and play, and that could bump up by 80,000 for the right person.
That's the
So
point, yeah.
it's all based on time and stuff as well. So I win this week's bet, which means I get the honor of doing a shout out. I stupidly didn't even think about a bet for next week now, but I quite like this Twitch series of bets. What do we have between now and next week release wise? Do we know?
Absolutely no idea.
Final
episode of Mandalorian, but will that be no? Nah. Could you find ratings viewers for that? No, so it doesn't. Nah, never mind. Scratch that.
It'd be difficult, yeah, because of Disney.
No, because it's not done it once. It'll be all over the place.
So what about if we would? Let me just quickly go on to releases. There's no real releases coming out this week.
Nah, still that's. I'll say that. Oh well. Oh, Wonder Woman's coming out.
When's that coming out?
I think it's at the 15th. You know.
Let's do it around Wonder Woman. It feels right. Wonder Woman release date.
Apparently, like, I can't seem to find my Cineworld opening, which is really annoying me because my card is not only going to no use, but I also want to go back to the goddamn cinema.
It's the 16th. It's the 16th. Someone sent me on WhatsApp a load of pictures, right? They've sent me a load of pictures.
Oh, Morbius.
If they think I'm downloading all of those pictures, they're out of their mind. Because why would I want to just... And it's like been forwarded from another group. So it's like even less important. So...
26th.
I've got the 16th of December here.
Yeah, I think Cineworld app is just useless. Anyway, carry on.
So Wonder Woman releases on the 16th of December, which is Wednesday.
Yep.
You may have an advantage because I do not know these numbers in my head. I have got no frame of reference in my mind. What do we think? Oh, and we're in a pandemic time, so this could be a really, really difficult bet. But let's just go with it. What do we think the opening number, money-wise? What is Wonder Woman going to make in the cinema by the time in opening weekend? Would we say? I mean, because we're going to be on the weekend when we record this.
When does it release? What day?
Wednesday.
I mean, that's still 3-4 days. I'd say between Wednesday and Saturday, but by the time Wednesday and we record this.
So basically, this is how I word it. When we record this next week, what will Wonder Woman have grossed in the latest earnings report type deal?
Globally or UK?
Globally, because I would say just UK, but it's pandemic. I think let's go global.
All right. I reckon it's going to be.
Before you say, because I don't really have a frame of reference. So let me write mine down first, so it's not like I'm cheating and I'm not just going off of your.
Yeah, because I don't think we have to be specific. We have to be within like tens of millions here.
Well, for any betting Nazis who want bets done right, write a number down your end, and I'll write a number down my end.
Yeah, mine's going to be a really vague number because.
And I think mine's going to be too low.
I wouldn't say that.
I don't know if you'll be able to see it when I put up the camera, but the fact that I'm putting it up there proves it. Okay, so I've got my number. You were going to go so what? My number is, I think, 6 million.
6 million?
Yeah, dollars.
I mean, that's a lot more specific than mine. Mine was just vague. I'm just going with less than 50 million.
That's too vague. That's too vague.
Yeah, but it's in a pandemic. It's not a big.
But what if I put less than 40 million and it's a million? Then we're both right. You have to.
Yeah, but it's too hard to guess.
I know, but that's why I said this is such a difficult bet. But one of us is going to be closer than the other one. It's just that simple. One of us will be closer than the other one.
All right, I'll go with.
You had to have a. You said less than 50.
Specific number. All right, I'm gonna go with.
And I feel like you've got an edge now because you got to redo your bet after I announced.
30 million.
30 million. Okay, cool. So you're in the 30 range again.
I don't know if I'm going off like too much, too high, too low, because going off things like Black Panther, that grossed like 500 million in a few days.
I know.
But pandemic, and that's not Black Panther. So yeah, all right, that's the bet. We should call it. We are approaching 132.
Okay, We will call it there. Well, yeah, we'll call it there because I think anyone who stuck around for this whole podcast, thank you very much. Much appreciated.
Yep.
If I come out of screen share a moment, how do I come out of this? Stop sharing.
There's a big red button which says stop sharing.
But it's not that big.
Anyway, if you are here, thanks for watching. Got any opinions, do let us know.
Yeah, a comment he means. And I will, you said go on the opinions. Do let us know.
If you have an opinion.
Oh, if you have an opinion, put it in the comments. And on top of that as well, I did win the bet, so I do get my shout out. I forgot my shout out. What were we talking about at the time?
I don't know, Cyberpunk. Yeah, you made no reference to any kind of shout out.
I had a. Well, basically, it was probably to do with Lego Star Wars, I think.
Probably.
So I'll do my shout out as the Lego Star Wars have a show that my boy watches, and they're all over Disney Plus, and they're really funny, and I think they give like surprising insight into the characters in a very funny way. There's a Star Wars holiday special on Disney Plus. It's like an hour, I think. Maybe it's half an hour. But it's Lego Star Wars, and it's genuinely really, really funny. So if you have even the slightest interest in Star Wars, check out the Lego Star Wars holiday special, and I guarantee you it makes you laugh because it is really, really funny in certain places. And it actually is a nice little bit of nostalgia because it goes through all of Star Wars. So it's really, 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 really good. That's my shout out.
All right, I'm just going to quickly say, there's somebody I work with that looks a lot like you. I'm going to try and get his permission to put a photo up, and then people can compare the two of you, because I spoke to somebody else at work, and who watched the podcast, and they thought I was doing it with the guy from work.
Well, yeah.
That's how similar you guys look. So yeah.
Well, yeah. Maybe we'll get him on the podcast one day, and we'll do some kind of crazy trip where he pretends to be me.
You?
Yeah, and it's like, oh, I'm not actually Leon.
Oh my God, we saw his bald head.
Yeah.
Ha!
I've got no hair.
I mean, you've got some. There's definitely something up there.
There's definitely hair up there, but it's just not a lot.
I wish I could say the same. Anyway,
no, you don't. So anyway.
Let's go.
So anyway, we've gone on too long. Thank you very much for watching. Put your comments in there. And yeah, we will speak to you again on the Default Tangent next week.
See you later.
Goodbye. Wave goodbye.